Good morning, folks, and welcome to another great edition of Money Truth Moments with our very own money expert, our very own money whisperer, Judy Copenbarger. How are you this morning?
Hi, Carlos. I am great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. It's been a great day. We're off to a great start, and I love the fact that we get to wrap up our series today in helping our college-bound kids, right? Which is
Yep,
great.
that's right. Off to school.
So that's right. So, folks, if you're just joining us, please make sure you watch the last couple of episodes. We've been talking about high schoolers going into the college life and how to prepare them. There's been a lot of great tips that Judy has shared, so make sure you go back and review some of that. And if you're not following Judy, please do so at judycopenbarger.today, where everything is relevant. Her all the social media links are on there as well too. And if you have any questions for topics that you'd like to have Judy address, please send us a message. We'd love to hear from you. So, what do you say we get started on? Here's the mouthful: College Cash Chronicles Part 3, right?
College Cash Chronicles. I like that. Yeah, let's
Yeah.
do it.
All right. So, we've been talking about our kids leaving high school, preparing them, things to look for, and all of that. Today, what I'd like to discuss with you, and I think a question that's come up quite a bit, is also talking about scholarships, right? Scholarships and grants. What does that mean? How do kids go about that too?
Yeah, I love it. Where's the money? Show me the money.
So,
Yeah,
yep.
absolutely. And school is so expensive now. It's like it keeps going up. It's like, how high can it go? I don't know. It's crazy, crazy tuition. And so, the way to get around that is get those grants and get those scholarships. And, there's almost always scholarships available through the dean of the college that you're applying for, through the president. And they're not always based on merit. It's not always just the smart kids that get them, by grades. So look for those. But I would say if you're trying to find the resources for these, the counseling offices at all the high schools have them. The school district, if you're in a smaller area, go to the district. They have them. That's where all the scholarships and grants go, all the applications for them. And there's lists of all the money, and so much of it goes untapped every year. And if you
Yeah.
talk to the people that work in those offices, they're like, yeah, nobody applied. I don't know why they're not applying. Free money. So I would do that. If you're already in college or you know where you're going or your child's going to go, talk to the resource center there. There's a whole department on almost every college campus, probably every college campus of any size, for just that do that. They just connect the scholarships with the students, the grants, the loans. They help with all the funding part of it. So check that out. There's going to be resources there and lots of scholarships to choose from.
Awesome. So let me follow up with a question about, so we're talking about these scholarships, but let's talk a little bit also about understanding the student loans, right? So one
Mhm.
of the things that I've heard over the years that the kids struggle with is understanding the difference between a federal loan and a private loan.
Mhm. Yeah. So a federal loan, you're borrowing money. That means you don't touch the money. You just apply for the money. You sign that you're going to pay it back. You sign the contract with what the interest will be, when it's paid back, how it's paid back, and all of that. And then the contract is made between you and the government. So the person that actually is paying the tuition for you that you have to pay back is the government. And that's who you will pay your money back to over time when you finish school. If it's a private loan, it's going to be a bank. And so the government has regulations for the banks and probably some credit unions too for a private loan, where just like you'd go to a bank to get a mortgage to buy a home or maybe to buy a car. They pay the money to the school for you. And now your agreement is with the bank. And that's who you're going to pay back over time and not default, right? That means you're going to pay on time per the terms of your agreement. So a private loan is just between, and it could be just with a private person, but I think we're talking about, most loans, they're
Right.
going to be with, the Wells Fargo or the Bank of America or the Chase Bank, or any of the smaller banks that do involve themselves in student loans. They pay the tuition directly. And sometimes there's a discount too. I mean, look into that. And then you pay them back. So that would be a private loan.
So let me do a follow-up question with that too. What are some maybe red flags that you kids should watch out for, especially when they're applying for the loans? Most of them will apply with parents, I think, but there's also a lot of them who are out on their own. And so maybe you can share some red flags that they should be careful with when they're talking to somebody regarding a loan.
Yeah, and it's tricky because the person on the other side of the transaction is getting credit or getting paid or whatever for you to get the loan. So they're going to try to talk you into it. So you got to watch out for that. And if you're new to life, you're adulting, really for the first coming years, you don't know that yet, that you're kind of the target for a transaction. And so just be careful, shop around, have someone who has more experience with loans look over what you're doing before you sign it. That's important even later in life. Get another pair of eyes on it. What you want to watch out for is a contract that you're obligating yourself to that is really fair. So you want to make sure the interest is not way higher than you could get, down the street at another bank. Um, I would say, have your parents, if they're involved in your life, have them look it over, or a mentor that you have, or someone else with experience. It could even be an upperclassman or a professor that you trust. Just say, hey, would you mind looking at this? Does this sound like a good deal? Right. But you don't want to just go to one place, unless it's a place your parents have banked with, they have a relationship with the banker and they trust that it's a good thing. But I say always shop stuff like that. So make sure the contract is good for you. The interest isn't too high. The terms are not too strict. Make sure there's potential to defer the loan. And all that means is if you plan on getting out of school in 3.5 or 4 years, and it takes 5 because you can't get all your classes or you end up doing, semester abroad or something. Now you need this extra time. You want to make sure that they're not adding extra interest or penalties because the repayment period doesn't start until later than you thought. You want to make sure there's room for that. Now they should still charge you interest during that extra year if you take an extra year, but it shouldn't be punitive. They shouldn't penalize you for that. So just make sure all those terms are favorable. The thing about a contract, and if this is first one you've signed or you're new to this, you want to make sure that the contract is fair and there's always an exit strategy. You want to make sure that a contract handles all of the contingencies, what if? What if I took longer to go to school? What if I want to start paying it back sooner? What if I decide I don't need to go to school or I find scholarships and I don't need that loan anymore? Can I pay it off early and not have to pay extra money to do that? So you want to just make sure all the terms are agreeable. There's an exit strategy. You know what's going to happen if things change. What if you die before you finish school? I mean, what does the contract say about that? All that stuff. Good, soup to nuts, good to bad. All of those contingencies or what ifs should be handled in your contract. You want to know what those are.
Folks, make sure again that if you're not following Judy, please do so at judycopenbarger.today. Make sure also that you are following her social media links and share this out with a lot of folks that you may know, especially with those leaving high school this year also. So I'm going to take a sidestep because we're talking about loans and we're talking about all of this great information. But let's talk a little bit about, for the folks that have been in college who are out of college, freshly out of college, what would you recommend for them are the best strategies for paying off their student loans quickly?
Make a lot of money. It's easy. That's all you got to do. Make a lot of money.
Play the lottery, right? That's it.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I don't like debt either. And sometimes you have it for a good reason. You got into a house, you had a family, you needed a good, safe place to live, whatever it is. College, you need to get that ticket to go get that job. It's a requirement for a lot of positions. So I don't like debt either. But when you have it, it becomes a new line item on your spending plan. And if you're not formal about your budget or your spending plan, it might be worth doing. I'm a planner. I like that. I like when people know where the money goes. And you plan for that so you don't get surprised and always feel like you're trying to catch up financially. So this is going to be a line item that wasn't there before. So I think it's worth spending a little time going through your new spending plan with that there. And it's going to be probably a good percentage, a good portion of the money that you're going to start to make, with your new salary or whatever position you're taking. It's just part of the thing. If you're a responsible person, if you're diligent and accountable, it's going to be a bill that you pay. And it might be that it takes months or years to pay off that monthly payment to cover that loan, depending on if you borrowed, 10,000 or 100,000, right? Or more. So it's almost like you're buying a house that you don't get to live in, financially, it kind of feels like that. But remember that debt happened for a really good reason. You're taking your life to the next level where you're able to earn more, you're able to have more doors open for you, more opportunities. That's a good thing. The bad thing is you didn't do it without acquiring debt. The good thing is now you have the tools you need to go pay down that debt and then get on with life. So I don't know if there's a tip or a trick to, paying it off other than plan for it. Know that it's coming. Don't forget about it. Go to school, la, la, la. And then all of a sudden you have a couple $1,000s a month you have to pay. You want to just be aware that it's going to be there and just build it into your spending plan. When you're looking at jobs, make sure you can afford that payment plus whatever you need for your lifestyle. Make sense?
Absolutely. That's great advice. And I'm glad we got to touch on that a little bit too, because I think that's also circling around for a lot of folks who are also just exiting college and trying to find, adulting, like you said. It's just not time to get a real job and start paying some of our debt back too. So speaking of that, let's talk a little bit now, and maybe we can deep dive a little bit into these new college bound kids. What are the best steps for them to save and invest? Why is that important as they're developing their careers? They're developing, some of them even working part time while they're going to school as well too. So let's deep dive a little bit on that.
On where to get the money or what to do
Well,
with it once you get it?
actually, let's focus on saving, why they should be saving, and why they should start considering investing.
Everybody should save all the time. And when we have economic crises in this country, people go, "Oh, I should save more." Oops, I kind of got caught unaware. And I don't mind when that happens. We had this COVID thing. Remember that COVID thing? And when you look at what happened, people started saving more. They started preparing and planning because some of them were like, wow, I lost my business. I lost my job. I couldn't go to work for months or years. And so people now save more than they did 5, 6, 7 years ago. I like that. That's not a bad thing because most of us have it. We just allocate our spending in different ways. And part of our spending, I think, should be to pay ourselves. We should be on the list of expenses every month. And that's saving. So then when, the garbage disposal goes out or you get a flat tire or all of a sudden company shows up and, oh, no, we need more groceries, whatever it is, you're not surprised by that because we can handle that. Almost all of us have access to credit cards or, relatives we can borrow from. We're going to make it. We're not going to end up on the street because of a surprise financially. But now you're going to end up, if you use a credit card, now you got to pay it back and it costs more than it did initially, right? That garbage disposal is $200. You pay it back over a year, it's going to be $250 because of the interest, right? So why not be prepared? Why not be prepared and save? Pay yourself every month a little something, 5%, 10%, 20 if you can, because when those things come up later, you can do it without paying interest, without having penalties. And you're prepared to really have a better lifestyle. And I think for a lot of people, it shows up as contentment. It shows up as freedom. It shows up as flexibility. A little bit more peace and joy in life comes from that. Those are the things that can happen when you save. So why not start as a student? Because you're figuring out life anyway. You're figuring out how to handle your calendar, how to handle your money, how to handle your relationships, how to handle your lifestyle, all of that. Why not put savings and fiscal responsibility and accountability in the bucket of things that you're adding to your tool list, right? To your skill set. Let's just do that. If everybody would just do that, it'd be so easy. Oh, did I lose your audio?
Yeah, here we go. And that's the thing. Most of the things that you've talked about also, it's one is common sense. Two, it sounds very easy, but for a lot of folks, right, it's really hard. Those easy things become like the hardest things you have to do, and then it creates this procrastination when I get around to it, and it's just it creates more chaos than it should be too. So I'm glad you're sharing some of this. And if you're listening, pay attention, folks, because this is going to save you a lot of time and headache, especially you youngsters going into college as well too. You know,
Yeah, I would
um,
say it's simple. This stuff is so simple. It's just not easy. Sometimes you haven't been exposed to it, but when you do, it's connecting the dots is pretty simple, but not always easy. And here's advice, if there are those of you listening who are launching, your high school, college, or even, early 20s, Every day we talk about these things that are hard. We want to procrastinate. It doesn't feel good. I don't want to do it. I'm not comfortable being uncomfortable, all of that. What helps me when I get to that, there's kind of like this barrier, like it's effort to do. So like that's the stuff I don't want to do. Well, things that we're really good at is like, yeah, I'll do that. And other things it's like, no, just leave it over there. Maybe tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Every day, if you challenge yourself to do one or two things that you don't want to do first, just get up and before you're even like awake, don't even have your coffee yet. Do those one or two things. Make the phone call, send the letter, get online and do the thing. Whatever it is that you don't want to do, you're kind of putting it off, do it first. It's amazing how that opens up your day. It empowers you. It's kind of like gasoline, right? It empowers
Right.
you to go do the rest of the stuff. And the day is so much easier. It kind of frees up your mind. It even frees up your body. So maybe try that. That's kind of an aside, has nothing to do with scholarships, but do one hard thing every morning before you start your day. Unbelievable. It's powerful.
Yeah, and what's great about that too is that consistency, right? Once you become consistent, you keep doing it over and over, the better you get,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And it's that old saying, practice makes perfect. So if you actually are tackling it, I think that's great advice too.
And
And
gamify it. Make
speak
it fun. Get a buddy and say, what is your hard thing? What do you not want to do today? But you need to. What is that?
right.
All right. You go do yours. I'll go do mine. And then we'll circle back up. Right. Yeah.
And, that's something you talked about quite a bit in other episodes about gamifying things, which I think makes it even more interesting, makes you want to do it. Or, if you have that competitive edge or the competitive side, you're going to be like, oh, I'm going to beat you today at doing what I need to do. So fantastic. So, folks, we're at the end of our show, and you know what that means. It's money, truth, challenge time. And I was looking at the fact that I think our challenge should be, can you say College Cash Chronicles 4 times in a row real fast? But
College
that's
cash,
for another show.
college
I
cash chronicles. I think I could. I think I could. We've been saying it
think
for
you just did it. Yeah. It's made it look too easy.
awesome. All
So what
right.
do
So
you got
here's
for us today?
Here's the challenge for this week. So, whether it's you getting ready to launch and go off to school in the next year or two or three, or if you've got parent, or if you've got children or grandchildren, or anybody in your life, maybe you mentor, some young people in your world. Things that you can do to help them is with this list. Where's the money going to come from? Are mom and dad going to pay for it? Do you have grandparents that set aside money for you? Is that how it's going to be? It's just going to be cash as you go. That's a blessing if you can do that. But make a short list of the other opportunities. Are there scholarships? Are there grants? Is there free money lying around that are exactly fitted for you? It's worth writing those paragraphs, those essays. It's worth it. So make a list of those things. What kind of loans are available to you, whether it's private or whether it's a government loan, subsidized or unsubsidized, has to do with how the interest is paid on that while you're in school. Make your list of where the money will come from. And it might be a longer list than you think. So that's your challenge, whether you're the student or you have someone in your life that you care about is the student. There's your challenge. Find the money.
All right, folks, you've heard the challenge. Again, please let us know if you have any questions. If you'd like some clarification, also send us an email. Also, if you have any topics that you'd like Judy to address, get to learn more about it, please let us know. And again, remember, follow Judy at judycopenbarger.today. So we have finished part 3 of our series of College Cash Chronicles. So any last parting words, Judy?
Just make it a great week. I love this subject. It's so much fun. It's, what it is? It's life, inspiration, new start, school. I love education and school, and it's just so great. We just got to get it paid for. You can do this.
All right, folks. We'll see you guys here next Tuesday at 8 a.m. And you can watch the replay on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Until next week, take care, Judy.
Bye-bye.